were again called Gomera. We find in another and later Assyrian tablet that in the second year of the reign of this same king, which would be about 679 B.C., the Gomera, under a leader named Tuespa, sought freedom by moving north. But the Assyrian army pursued and defeated them in the upper Euphrates district. Nevertheless, they reported a large number of the Israelites escaped to the shores of the Black Sea. The Greeks also recorded the same activity, including an invasion of Sardis, the capital of Lydia, in 645 B.C. In their records, they refer to the Gomera as Kimeroi, which we translate into English as Cimmerian. About 600 B.C., the Lydians drove the Gomera, or Cimmerians, out of Asia Minor, where they settled in the Carpathian regions west of the Black Sea. We find them called in the second book of Esdras the people of Arsareth. We now also know what happened to the larger body of Gomera, or Israelites, that did not escape the Assyrians. They formed an alliance with Esarhaddon the king when he came under attack of the Medes and the Persians. This treaty allowed the Israelites to establish colonies in Sacrocene in the north and Bactria in the east. With absolutely no help from the Israelites, Assyria fell in 612 B.C. Soon the Israelites themselves came under attack by the Medes. Now those that had settled in Sacrocene, they moved north through the Darial Pass into the steppe regions of South Russia. There they became known by the Greek name Scythians. The Israelites that had settled in Bactria were forced north and east, and in the records of the Persians, they were called Massagetae and Saka. Archaeology has solved two of the greatest archaeological problems. First, what happened to the hundreds of thousands of Israelites who disappeared south of the Caucasus? And second, the origin of the Cimmerians and the mysterious nomadic tribes known as Scythians, who suddenly appeared north of the Caucasus, both the same time in history. They were one and the same people. They were Israelites. Now may I point out what the Bible has to say concerning these same people. I'm reading now from Amos 9, verse 9. For lo, I will command, and will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in the sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Our history books pick up the story at this point, recording the westward migrations of the Scythians as they came into collision with the Cimmerians, who had earlier settled west of the Black Sea. Their kinship lost over the centuries, the ensuing battles forced the Cimmerians west and north to become the Celts, Gauls, and Cimbri. By the end of the 4th century B.C., the Scythians had established themselves as the great and prosperous kingdom of Scythia. Later, the Sarmatians, these were a mixed non-Israelite people of Iranian origin, they in turn drove the Scythians northwest to the shores of the Baltic Sea. At this time in history, we find the Romans introduced the name German in place of the name Scythian, in order not to confuse the Scythians with the Sarmatians now, who occupied Scythia. Germanus, being the Latin name for genuine, indicates the Germans were the genuine Scythians. During this time, the Celts were expanding in all directions from Central Europe. Some of the Celts moved into Spain and became known as Ibrius, the Gaelic name for Hebrews. Others poured into Britain to form the bedrock of the British race. Later, the Ibrius moved into Ireland as Scots, and later into northern Britain to establish the nation of Scotland. Your history books also record the Germanic tribes breaking up into many divisions: the Angles, Saxons, Jutes, Danes, and Vikings, to name just a few. Other Germanic tribes later poured into the lands vacated by the Celts and established the Gothic nations, the Vandals, Lombards, Franks, Burgundians, and others. The so-called lost tribes of Israel were really never lost. They only lost their identity as they migrated westward over the centuries from the land of their captivity.
And there you have it, my friends. Mr. Cap has given us a visual answer to our question: what happened to the millions of Israelites who were dispersed out of old Canaan land 7 centuries before Christ and who never returned? They migrated onto the continent of Europe and were the ancestors of the white European race. And in answering our question about Israel's disappearance, Mr. Cap has given us the key to several other mysteries of world history.
Who's the chief over a lot of these nights back in those periods? And I'm going to read to you about one of these guys. See the Middle Ages? Another night here. My book is thrown here, but you just distinctly see. He's a black man.
Just hold it.
The Middle Ages by Morris Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Slide over the pan to you. Another night.
Uh-huh.
Now,
you can see that he's black. Let me get him again.
Focus again.
You
now we're going to read
that.
who's the chief over
Is that a black man or is that a white man? Will the real truth stand up?
Now,
that is beautiful.
I'm going to read a chapter about who was over these nights, one of the greatest leaders of these nights. Well, everybody should know King Arthur around the round table. Now listen to what it says about King Arthur around the round table. On page 262 in this book. You could focus all the way in so we can read it. A lot of the brothers like High Priest Yashiyah and a lot of the brothers bring a lot of these facts out and showing you about the Celts and the Vandals and the Goths was black. I want the printing. Well, this shows one of the scholars right here. In that
you want that at the bottom?
No, I want the printing on the page over here. To you right here where my hand is moving here. I want to show you that what it says about Arthur.
Okay, let me come in a little closer.
Okay. Now follow my hand.
Let me cut it a minute.
Here's what it says about King Arthur, which was one of the leaders over the knights. It says these tales deal with the knights of the round. These tales deal with the. Follow me. These tales dealt with the knight of the round table at the court of King Arthur. See King Arthur's name? Who was in fact a British Christian chief of the 5th century. A British Christian, the Christians were black. Mm-hmm. A British Christian chief of the 5th century. That's 500 A.D.
Mm-hmm.
That's clear. And all from 193 A.D. all the way up to the 1800s when they finally destroyed all the Israelites out of Europe. The Christians were black.
Mm-hmm. You just showed that when you showed the knights over there.
Knights in the first
you showed their pictures so they could. The audience ain't got nothing to say, but that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And zoom in further. Read a little further. A British Christian chief of the 5th century. The primitive Celtic literature had the character that persists in Yeats and other modern Irish writers. Love of fantastic morals, blurring the natural and supernatural. Okay, so they was into when it says the natural and supernatural. They dealt with the spirit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They knew the spirit of the supreme.
Right. And
they
the Celts were Israelites.
And the Celts was definitely Israelites too. All right, Celts, tales, and so forth. So without a shadow of a doubt, if that's not enough, go back to the picture. He was a leader over the knights in the 5th century.
Mm-hmm. The Middle Ages, and the black knight standing right over there.
Right. Without a shadow of a doubt. Now, as I stated,
Rome. In this book, it shows Israelites in Rome. Israelites in the arena as gladiators, and Israelites throughout the Roman Empire because they was in captivity in Rome. And Israelites as rulers of the Roman Empire because Israelites took over the Roman Empire.